Story 1. The night was a shroud, draped over the city in an inky blackness that swallowed everything in its path. I could feel the weight of it pressing against my chest as I walked alone down the dimly lit street. The distant hum of the city was drowned out by the echo of my footsteps on the pavement. I quickened my pace, trying to shake off the unsettling feeling that had settled in the pit of my stomach. I had just left a friend's house after a late-night gathering, and the city had long fallen into a hushed stillness. The occasional flickering streetlight cast long shadows that danced menacingly across the deserted sidewalks. The air was thick with an unspoken tension, as if the darkness itself held secrets that it was reluctant to share. I rounded a corner, and that's when I saw them, two figures standing under the feeble glow of a flickering streetlamp. They wore police uniforms, or at least, what appeared to be police uniforms. Something about them seemed off. The way their shadows clung to them like malevolent spirits, the absence of any discernible police insignia. But in the quiet desperation of the night, I dismissed my suspicions as mere paranoia. As I approached, the taller of the two raised his hand in a half-hearted attempt at a salute. "Evening, citizen. We're conducting a routine check. Mind if we ask you a few questions?" I hesitated, glancing between them and the desolate street around us. The nameplates on their uniforms were polished to a gleam, but there was no warmth in their eyes, just a cold, calculating gaze that sent shivers down my spine. "Sure, officers, what do you need?" I replied, trying to sound casual despite the unease that churned within me. The shorter one stepped forward, his eyes piercing into mine. "We've had reports of suspicious activity in the area. Just need to make sure everyone's safe. Can we see some ID, please?" I fumbled for my wallet, my hands trembling ever so slightly. As I handed over my identification, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being scrutinized, dissected by those cold eyes. The taller one examined my ID with exaggerated thoroughness, his lips curling into a faint, sinister smile. "Everything seems to be in order," he said, handing the ID back to me. "But we'll need you to come with us for a quick check, just to be sure." Alarm bells rang in my mind, but before I could protest, the taller one grabbed my arm with an iron grip. Panic surged through me as I tried to pull away, but his hold only tightened. "What's this about? I haven't done anything wrong," I stammered, my heart pounding in my chest. The shorter one chuckled, the sound echoing in the empty street like a malevolent melody. "Just a precaution, citizen. We can't be too careful these days. It won't take long." They led me down a narrow alley, away from the feeble glow of the street lamp. The darkness enveloped us, swallowing any trace of the outside world. The air grew thick with tension, and a cold sweat broke out on my forehead. As we reached the end of the alley, I noticed a flickering light emanating from an open door. The silhouette of a dimly lit room danced on the walls, casting eerie shadows that seemed to come alive. Dread clung to me like a second skin, and I pleaded with myself to wake up from this nightmare. The taller one pushed open the door, revealing a room that seemed frozen in time. Dusty furniture adorned with cobwebs lined the walls, and the air was heavy with the stench of decay. I stumbled forward, the fake cop still gripping my arm like a vice. "Take a seat, citizen," the shorter one commanded, gesturing towards a rusty chair in the center of the room. The ominous creak of the door echoed in the silence as I reluctantly obeyed. As I sat there, vulnerable and trapped, the taller one circled around me like a predator closing in on its prey. The room seemed to close in around me, the walls pulsating with a malevolent energy. "What's going on? Why are you doing this?" I demanded, my voice trembling with fear. The shorter one smirked, his eyes glinting with malice. "You see, citizen, not everything is as it seems. We're not the protectors you thought we were. In fact, we thrive in the shadows, preying on those who trust too easily." With that revelation, the fake cops shed their disguises, their features twisted and contorted, revealing monstrous visages beneath the facade of humanity. They were creatures of the night, masquerading as law enforcers to lure unsuspecting victims into their web. I recoiled in horror as their true forms emerged, gaunt, otherworldly beings with elongated limbs and razor-sharp claws. The room seemed to pulsate with their malevolent energy, and I knew I was at the mercy of something far more sinister than the darkness itself. The taller one advanced, his claws glinting in the dim light. You humans are so easily deceived. You put your trust in uniforms and badges, never realizing the monsters that lurk behind them. As the truth unfolded before me, I struggled against the paralyzing fear that gripped my every nerve. The room became a suffocating abyss, and the air was filled with the guttural laughter of the fake cops, now transformed into the nightmarish creatures they truly were. In that haunted room, I faced the realization that the night held more than just shadows. It concealed monsters wearing the guise of those meant to protect and serve. The city's silent streets bore witness to the unspeakable horrors that lurked in the darkness, preying on the unsuspecting souls who dared to traverse its twisted paths. Story 2.
The moon cast an eerie glow over the desolate highway as I drove through the fog-laden night. The hum of the engine was the only companion on this lonely road. The gas gauge teetered precariously close to empty, and my anxiety grew with each passing mile. Desperation led me to pull into a dimly lit gas station on the outskirts of a seemingly abandoned town. Two figures cloaked in police uniforms stood beneath the flickering canopy. My initial relief at finding assistance was replaced by a gnawing unease as I noticed the absence of any recognizable insignia. The taller one approached, his eyes devoid of warmth. "Evening, driver. Routine inspection. Mind stepping out of the vehicle?" Reluctantly, I complied, handing over my driver's license as the shorter one circled the car. The sense of isolation intensified, the gas station the only beacon in the desolation. Suddenly, the taller one's radio crackled to life with an unsettling static. My heart raced as he exchanged cryptic whispers with an unseen entity, his gaze never leaving me. "Seems we've got a problem, citizen," he declared, his voice taking on an ominous tone. "You'll have to come with us for further questioning." Fear gripped me as they ushered me into the depths of the town, where shadows seemed to writhe with a life of their own. The facade of the gas station melted away, revealing an abandoned police station, its windows shattered and doors hanging off their hinges. The air was thick with a malevolent energy as the fake cops led me into a dimly lit interrogation room, the flickering bulb casting ominous shadows on the peeling wallpaper. The taller one leaned in, his face inches from mine, revealing an unsettling grin. "You stumbled upon something you shouldn't have, driver. Our town thrives on secrets, and you've become an unwilling participant." As he spoke, the shorter one circled behind me, his movements fluid and predatory. Panic surged as I realized the true nature of this forsaken place, a haven for malevolent entities disguised as law enforcement. The room seemed to warp and contort, becoming a nightmarish maze. With a sudden burst of strength, I broke free, stumbling through the dilapidated corridors. The echoes of their eerie laughter chased me, reverberating through the abandoned halls. The town, once a refuge for the supernatural, now echoed with the haunting screams of those who had unwittingly crossed its path. In the moonlit night, I raced back to my car, leaving the forsaken town behind. The gas station, now empty, stood as a silent sentinel, concealing the horrors that lurked within. The road stretched ahead, a winding path through the haunted landscape. As I drove, the memory of those fake cops lingered, a chilling reminder that even in the most desolate places, darkness could wear the guise of authority, waiting to ensnare those who dared to venture into the unknown.